Hi everyone, welcome back to Indie's News Corner. Indigo Diamond here with another video here to talk about all things drag. Today I only have Drag Race to go through, but that's fine. We can talk about that and I can just go a bit more in depth than usual. Before we get into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like the video, and tell me down below what are you thinking of the season so far. Honestly, I'm enjoying the season. I just wish the episodes were back to their normal length. I think, especially with the amount of girls we've got, it's kind of criminal to be cutting it down this much. It may only be like, 15, 20 minutes, but, that's a lot. Like, the runways themselves are like a blink and you'll miss it for each queen. And, a lot of these queens spend a lot of money to have their runways done for the show, and the people that make them, I'm sure it's upsetting for them to see their work be displayed for all of 5 seconds and then off again. But anyway, let's get into it. So season 15, this week's challenge was essentially old lady girl groups. So the queens got into groups and RuPaul says, I'll let you decide what genres you want to do. So the genres were country, hip hop, and metal. Now, the group that picked hip hop got it, no problems whatsoever. They were the only ones that were like, this is what we want, so they got it. The other two groups were fighting over metal, and it got a bit heated. And they ended up having to draw it out of a hat. So the groups we had for country were Lux Noir London, Marsha, Mistress Isabel Brooks, and Selena Estites. For hip hop we had Anitra, Jax, Lucy LaDuca, and Robin Fierce. And finally for metal we had Aura Mayari, Malaysia, Baby Doll Fox, Sasha Colby, and Spice. Now, I will say no group did badly. Like, the songs were good, they all very much felt like they were in their own genre, and it wasn't terrible. Now, individually, there were some choices. I must admit, I think this is the episode I found the weirdest with the judging. Could just be me. So the winner of the challenge was Aura Mayari. They praised her for doing really well this week, and honestly, I think she did better than she has been doing. But I still think Sasha was the best, so I probably would have given the win to her. But, maybe part of the reason Aura did get the win is because she's, it's such an improvement over what she has been doing, that they were like, you know what, it's such a big change from where you were that we're going to give you the win. Could be it. So Spice was in the metal group. Now, Spice wasn't bad in the challenge. The only thing that confused me about Spice was the fact that it didn't feel like her verse didn't feel like it fitted in the genre of metal. Like, everyone else, like even Malaysia, who, was probably, she really wanted metal, and I don't think she went as into it as she could have. I don't know if that was the editing and just like how we saw it in that, but Spice's verse just didn't feel like it fit with the rest of them. Like, the other three felt like they were all very much that part of that song, and then Spice just, and like, she was just called Safe, so I don't know, it seemed a bit strange to me. In the critiques as well, so they pointed out that Anitra missed some of her words, and then when they got to Robin, who was the one I noticed missed a lot of her words, didn't bring up the fact that she missed a lot of her words at all. Now, I will say the hip hop group did seem to have the most struggles. So Anitra missed some of her words. Robin Fierce missed quite a few of her words. Jax, they critiqued on being too fast in the choreography, so she was like a beat ahead of everyone else. I think the only one in that group that didn't really have any critiques was Lucy, and I think Lucy's been doing very well this season, and I think she also did quite a good job in this challenge. I will say I'm very sad that Amethyst didn't make it to this challenge because I think she would have done really well in this as well. I love how well Sasha did this episode because honestly, I mean, it's probably why I think she should have won. It's the fact that she's not afraid to kind of like get, I don't want to say messy, but like ugly and old sort of thing. I mean, no one really had an issue with it, but I feel like, for someone as big as Sasha Colby to be able to like be like, look, I can do this and I'm not afraid of it. I'm more than happy to do it. I think was great. Sasha also had some great moments this episode by talking about sort of like a trans history and stuff like that, which I thought was very relevant. I mean, it's a conversation we should never stop having, and people may get tired of hearing about it, but the thing is, yes, we've come away from where it was, however, we're nowhere near where it should be, and honestly, even if we ever do get to that stage, we should never stop talking about it because of the fact that it's an important moment in history, that this is how it used to be and this is where we are now. You should never forget how things used to be, because if you forget that, that's when things start to go back to that way. I know, we started going backwards anyway, but, I feel like it would be even going that way even quicker if we weren't still having the people like Sasha coming on and having these conversations about things that shouldn't be happening. So the bottom two, I was kind of surprised they put Jax in the bottom two over Anitra. And the reason why I was confused by this is usually if they talk about you missing your words, that's essentially like a sentence to being in the bottom. Like, there's essentially like, you're lip syncing, you didn't know your words, or at least you missed some of them, that's you in the bottom. But they put Jax in the bottom, who the only problem really with Jax was that Jax was, like in the performance, was that they were a bit ahead choreography wise. I don't know, seemed a bit confusing to me. I don't know what you guys think. Not that I wanted Anitra to be in the bottom. I love Anitra. I've been really enjoying her this season. But based on like how things have happened in the past and that, it just seemed a bit odd that that was the case. So we did end up with Robin and Jax in the bottom, lip syncing to In Your Room by the Bangles. I thought the song was, thought the lip sync was good. I think they both kind of went different angles. I think Jax very much went high energy with it, and I feel like Robin was kind of like a bit slower and more sensual with it. Now, they chose Jax to say, so Robin is our latest eliminated queen, unfortunately. I feel like we didn't get to really know much about Robin this season or really have much time with her. I do think a lot of that, again, this is why I've been so kind of like irritated by the shorter episodes, because not only have they shortened the episodes, but they've got the biggest cast this season that they've had. And it's like, so you've got the biggest cast and yet you shorten the episodes. It's like, and it's not like they even did what they have been doing, where they've gone, oh, we want to get to know the queens a bit more, so for like the first episode or two, we're not going to eliminate everyone, so everyone's got like sort of like extra chance. I know we kind of had the first two episodes where it was kind of a non-elimination, but the first episode kind of was, but it was a bit different because they kind of did the split premiere in with both sets of queens entering in the first episode, and then the second episode was essentially the first challenge. But because of how many queens there were, I feel like you didn't really get that opportunity to get to know a lot of the queens, because someone like Robin, who, comes across as a bit quieter than some of the other queens, she doesn't really get that time, and, there's not been a lot with her, and it's a shame. But all we can hope is that maybe there's going to be an All Stars that she gets invited back to and she decides to go on, maybe a Versus the World season. I don't know, everything seems to be popping up every now, like here, there, and everywhere. We've got, you know, All Stars, we've got the Versus the World series. The rumour is instead of a UK All Stars, we're getting a second season of UK Versus the World, which seems a bit weird. But then there's also this like global All Stars thing that's supposed to be happening. But we've got All Stars 8 that's rumoured to have Jimbo on, who is an international queen. It's very confusing. All I'm saying is there's plenty of opportunity to get someone like Robin Fierce back and give her another showing. There are a lot of queens. Difficult because All Stars is one of those things where, you know, they've started repeating some of the queens already, but there's still quite a lot of queens that I feel like it would be nice to see on that maybe haven't even been asked yet, like Nicole Paige Brooks from season 2. I would love to see her back and just, you know, see how she does it with the second go round. Dida Ritz, I would love to see Dida Ritz back. And, you know, I know I'm not the only one. There are lots of people that want to see her back. But again, she's, you know, she's flat out said, she's never been asked. So it's difficult because, you know, obviously if they want certain people, they're going to cast those certain people. But I feel like one of the things that was great about All Star 6 is they did have quite a lot of wild cards. You know, when All Star 6 came out, you did kind of look at it and you go, I don't know who's going to win. Whereas with a lot of the All Star seasons, you've been kind of going, oh, they're going to make it to the end, they're going to make it to the end. Versus the World, I like Versus the World because it's nice to kind of like get international queens to like go different places and do things, like having them in Canada and having them in the UK where they haven't really done that drag race before. And it also gives exposure to people like, say, Pangina Hills, who was one of the hosts of Drag Race Thailand. I thought it was really nice to have her on UK Versus the World season 1. I think it was nice to give her that platform, and obviously she has become like a massive fan favourite, and rightfully so. She's very talented and just very attractive as well. But yeah, I don't know, it's kind of like that weird thing because it's like, well, what's the difference between Versus the World and an international All Stars? Is the difference that with an international All Star or like a global All Stars, it would only take place in one setting and they would have to do it there, whereas with UK Versus the World it changes every so often. And if that's the case, are they still going to do All Stars separately? And like how's that? That's what I'm intrigued by. How is that going to work? How are all these separate things going to keep going? Because realistically, if you're going to do a global All Stars, you might as well just do that, get rid of All Stars, and get rid of Versus the World. Because it's essentially both of those combined into one thing. I don't know, just me. Leave your thoughts down below. What are you confused by all the different, like, his All Stars, his Versus the World was supposed to have a global All Stars? Does that confuse you, or is it just me? Because if it's just me, it's quite probable I'm quite ditzy at times, so. But yes, that is all the news we have for today. Leave me a comment down below. Like I said, are you confused about all these different shows that are apparently having queens coming back? Is there anyone you'd like to see on a future Versus the World season? You know, rumours of UK Versus the World season 2. I know there's rumours of the cast floating around, which I have seen, and if that is true, it should be interesting because there's more variety of countries being represented and like maybe a bigger season, which I think, you know, if you're doing a Versus the World, it really should be more queens from, you know, all the franchises together in one go, and, you know, yeah, bring more of them in because it makes it a longer season. And, you know, that I think that was one of the things with UK Versus the World season 1, Canada Versus the World season 1. They were both only like 6 episodes long, and I was sat there, I was like, I wanted more time with these queens. And while you're down there as well, let me know, are you enjoying season 15? I'm enjoying it. I just need it to be long. I need the episodes to be longer. If you're going to have so many queens, because that's the thing, you know, once it gets down to like towards the end, it's going to be fine. But the point is, right now we've got so many queens, and I'm just not getting enough time with each of the queens to kind of. I mean, you know, you get the odd one like Lucy. I feel like we're getting a good amount of time with her. Getting some time with Anitra. Mistress getting a lot of airtime and stuff like that, which is it's great for them. But then you get other queens like Robin, who's kind of getting lost in the mix because I don't know, maybe they're just not as big, and so like the producers are like, well, we don't want to focus too much on them because they aren't as big. They're not making as much fuss as the other queens, and that's a shame because they got on the show. They deserve as much love as the rest of them. Speaking of love, just before we wrap up, I have seen constantly this season the queens getting like attacked on Twitter, on Instagram. You know, they're getting their like accounts reported and stuff like that. Guys, chill out. It's a TV show. Like, I know I get very passionate about this TV show. It is my favourite TV show. However, I will say I will not sit there and go on someone's post that's on the show and tell them I don't like them. I mean, I will say this season there's no one I dislike. I know a lot of people didn't like Irene or aren't a big fan of Mistress. I love it. I think one of my favorite things about Mistress is the fact that you can kind of tell that she doesn't mean it. Like, she's kind of like poking people just to get that reaction, but it's kind of it's in a funny way. I enjoy it, but you know, chill out, guys. Stop sending hate because it's, you know, I hate the fact that I have to say this every season. If you keep sending hate and attacking these queens, people are going to stop doing the show. And if queens don't want to do the show's going to stop because people don't want to do it. And then you're not going to have anything to watch that's drag related on TV. You know, and what do you want? Personally, I want to watch Drag Race. You know, yes, you get times where you get people that get into certain arguments, or certain people maybe don't win a challenge that you feel like you should have over someone else. But you know what? It's reality TV. You know, it's not all what it appears to be. You know, a lot of it is edited to make it look certain ways. You know, also there's a lot of pressure that goes into it. You know, give the queens a break. They're here to entertaining you, and at the end of the day, you know, we don't deserve as much drag as we have. And honestly, I'm here for all the drag that we have, and I'll happily see a lot more. So, you know, I will send love, nothing but love, to all the queens when I speak to them. Like, if I post on their Twitter post, if I post on their Instagram post, you know, I'll like their posts and stuff like that. And if I do have a comment or tag them in anything, it will be with nothing but love because, you know, they were brave enough to go on reality TV and put themselves out there in front of the general public. And honestly, general public, you know, not necessarily the greatest at all times. But rant over. That is it for this week. Leave those comments down below. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you lovely people next time. See ya!